But I took every other bulb out because the piece of wood that I was standing on gave way and I went all the way down. And I broke all the bloody bulbs. Action.
So, Strut
Where
from
did
the beginning.
Where we start?
We'd like to start from. Tell me about your career.
Well, yeah, I'll have to start with my dad first, because after the war, in the wartime, he was a cameraman for the government, the army, you know, army, navy, the whole lot. He would go on daytime flights over in Lancaster, over Germany, looking at the bomb sites that they're going to bomb that night, you know. He'd be lying on his belly with a camera.
Oh, doing a recce?
Yeah, he'd go on recce's. And he went right through the war for the Navy, attached to the New Zealand Air Force, well, even the Foreign Legion at one time.
Wow.
Yeah, in Africa. He went to Africa with Montgomery, filming there with Churchill and things. And in fact, actually, he met Churchill because he used to do a lot of filming with Churchill. He met Churchill, and Churchill said to him, "Billy, do you know you're on Hitler's hit list?" Because I don't know if you've ever seen it, showing these German soldiers marching, right?
Yeah.
What's the music?
Lambeth Walk.
Lambeth Walk. Do, 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 do. He edited it and reversed them so they're marching backwards, taking the piss out of it, you see. And Hitler saw it. He did not like that. He did not like that. Anyway, after Dad's escapades in the war, he decided he didn't want to go back to feature films. He wanted to do documentaries. And in the mid-50s, he was doing some documentaries for Shell. He used to do a lot of Shell films. He actually shot a lot of those Shell motor racing films. But he was doing a film, it was an educational type film for other countries like Africa and things, how to look after diesel engines.
Yeah.
And he was having made a Perspex diesel engine. So it showed all the oil ways and everything else, how it all worked and everything, you know. And the company he got the people to make a model for, Cutaway Moore, to film this model, was a firm called John Thorpe's. And John Thorpe's are the oldest model makers in the world. I tell you how far they go back. After the Great Fire of London, when the bridge burnt down with the village on and everything, they made a model of the bridge to replace London Bridge. That's how old their model making company is. You know, and he would go there and see stuff, and they thought, God, I know who'd love to work here. And I was still at school then. And in one of the school holidays, I went and worked there, and my father went to the school and said, look, he's wasting his time here. They didn't like my father because he would take me away on film sometimes. And I learned so much. We go all over the country, the industry, you know, filming. He was making a film called This Is Britain, and it was showing Britain building itself up after the war. And he went to school, he said, look, Jeff, might as well leave, you know, because you've got a job to go to. I went and worked for John Thorpe's. We lived in Haslemere in Surrey, and it was quite near Goodwood. And on Thursdays, I knew it was practice day at Goodwood. Instead of turning right to school down the hill, I'd go left down to Midhurst, to Goodwood. My mum knew where I was, yeah. She never worried about it. She got told off a few times, I think, but, you know. Anyway, I eventually went to work for John Thorpe's as an architectural model maker. But it wasn't just architecture. We did all sorts of exhibitions, stands, and all sorts of things. It's quite fascinating. In fact, during my school holidays, I helped make a huge crown to hang in Admiralty Arch for the coronation.
Gosh.
Yeah, great big crown. Yeah, about 8 foot diameter.
Wow.
Yeah, should have been there this time, but it wasn't. Probably rotted away anyway. It was a huge thing, actually. Yeah.
What was it made from?
I think we made it with sort of the velvet bit in the middle. It was like fiberglass. It wasn't fiberglass. I don't know what it was. We had to boil something up. I can't remember what it was to hold it stiff, you know, so it looked like the velvet. The rest was made of aluminium and brass and things. They hung in Admiralty Arch, you know. That was quite interesting. And then I was there for 4 years. Loved it, actually. Really did, you know. And then I went in the army. In the army for 2 years. Came out the army.
National service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to go back down home again. I don't know why. My father he was silly really because he just dragged me back. But I didn't. I met this girl in Yorkshire.
Mhm.
And I stayed in Yorkshire for about 4 years, 5 years. Eventually went back home. But I didn't go into the film. Well, actually, talking about the film is my first special effects. There was this first film called Victory at Sea. And Dad had this model submarine, and we showed a picture of it diving in our pond in the garden.
Yeah.
That was my first special effects, making this boat slide down this little ramp into our village, into our garden pond. Yeah, that was my first special effects. But then I didn't go into it. I messed about. I think Mum and Dad were a bit cross because I messed about for a few years. Then I eventually drifted back into it, you know. Well, yeah, I enjoyed the army, actually. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it, yeah. The Royal Signals. No, it's all right. It's all right.
It's motorbikes, wasn't it?
Motorbikes, yeah. Because the white helmets, the display team.
Oh, I remember seeing them.
Yeah, they were the white. Actually, it's funny enough because they followed me around my life quite a lot because I did a commercial with the white helmets.
In Catterick Camp, that's
That's it.
That's where I saw them.
Yeah. Well, they were based there. Then they moved down. In recent years, they were at Blandford Forum. Yeah, they're at Blandford. They disbanded it now, which is such a shame. You know, after that last Royal tournament, which was a wonderful thing. Yeah, I eventually drifting back, doing things in films and things. Did a bit of theatre. We did a thing called Rolls-Royce. It was about Rolls and Royce in their early days. And it was with Alfred Marks, Wilfred Hyde-White. At the premiere, Prince Charles came as a young lad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said to me, he says, we made two sort of quarter-size, half-size little vintage Rolls Royces to have on the stage. Mm-hmm. And we had some old radial engines we mocked up and things. And after the show, he came behind the set and behind the curtain and said, they're awfully nice. Could I have a go in one? I said, yeah, but be careful you don't ride into the pits, the orchestra pits. You go off the edge, just be careful.
They did have brakes.
Yeah, they did have brakes, but not very good. But it was quite fun actually doing that.
So what was the first film that you did that kind of sucked you in as that being your main career?
Permanently. Oh, I suppose it would be doing those Bond films, The Spy Who Loved Me and things like that.
How many Bond films did you do?
I actually subcontracted on the Bond films. We subcontracted. We got involved with the Lotuses and things, the bodywork and all those different things on the Bond films. And that beautiful globe we've made that got burnt, unfortunately. Oh yeah, one day we're putting the globe together in the middle of the night on the 007 stage, and there's a rustle and a noise outside, and it didn't have the security like it has today. I mean, I wouldn't be allowed back in now. We heard this noise, and it was the Stones coming. They'd been wandering about. And they came in and we had a bit of a sing-song, It was quite fun, actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
So what, had they been on another part of the set studio somewhere?
Well, no, they were probably on a night trip. Jolly somewhere, yeah. That was 1960, was it 1976, is it? 76? 76, I think, yeah.
Wow.
Maxine's once, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I had to do a commercial. I had to, just my hands weren't in shot. I had white kid gloves on. I had to open a bottle of champagne with a sword. So I had to learn how to do this, you see. So I went off to Maxine's in Paris to see how you did it, Yeah. When we did the job, the sparkling wine people said, how many cases do you need to test? I said, we need at least half a dozen, cases. So several went into the boot of the car on the way home. Yeah.
So was that for an advert for them
It was
then?
an advert, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, gosh, yeah. And one crazy advert I did was they wanted the Titanic. It was a reverse shot. They wanted it, they filmed it going in, but they wanted it coming out and all celebrating with the sparkling wine. This wasn't the same advert. Anyway, I arrived at Elstree Studios and said, where's the tank? Oh, we're using that. It's middle of winter, December, I think, something like that, or January. And where's the tank? And it was a tank about as big as this room, and it was 3 foot deep. And the director said, well, I want the ship to go down at 45 degrees. I said, yeah, the ship's 13 foot long, and it's water's 3 foot deep. Has anybody got a chainsaw? He said, what are you talking about? I said, well, how am I going to sink a 13 foot long boat into 3 foot of water at 45 degrees? He said, well, you're thinking some way. I said, no, for a fact. I said, you've only got one camera. I said, I'm going to have to cut the boat. We're going to have to lock off, cut the boat, carry on, cut the boat, carry on. He said, I paid for this model boat. I said, well, you should have paid for a deeper tank, shouldn't you? So we had to cut the boat. Yeah. There's the only way we could do it. And it was freezing cold. There's thin ice on the top. I remember that.
So that must have been really hard getting the continuity. Getting it, like, once you'd taken it out to cut a bit, then getting it back in exactly the same position.
We had a little slides, like a lathe bed, you know, you slide down. So it would always be there, you know. Yeah. Oh, God.
So what was your most favourite project?
Superman, I suppose. Because it was like, you could just come up with an idea. It was lovely. How are we going to do that? I mean, they've been prattling about for ages. When the starship's going through the universe, before it crashes in the wheat field, when it hits the Earth's atmosphere, it's got to burn up. And they were trying all sorts of things. And I thought, well, I've got an idea. I know. I said, we get a camera track down there, and I'll get one of those garage heaters, paraffin heaters. I mean, you wouldn't be allowed to do it. I took the front off the paraffin heater so that the baffle isn't there. So we've got raw flames coming out. And I had that on a camera dolly. And the starship's here going around on a pole arm, on a black screen, black curtain behind, going around, simulating it going along, you see. And I thought, well, I'll bring this in slowly, this flame. And it was perfect. It just started to burn up beautifully, you know. But this raw flame coming out that long of this big paraffin heater. Yeah, it's simple. And there was all sorts of tricks. Like the earthquake. Someone came up with a brilliant idea for the earthquake, where the train's going along, and you know, and he has to bridge the gap. But before that, you see the earthquake, you see it all opening up. We had a huge model. Oh gosh, the area of this house, I suppose. Bit bigger, with a gauge, that gauge railway track. What they got was some big pieces of sacking, like canvas, with lace holes, and they threaded lace string through it.
Ah,
right. So you pull it, and it opens up as it's going along. It looks fantastic.
Wow.
It looked like the real thing.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Lots of things like that, yeah. It's simple things, you know.
But you're looking at the only man who survived falling down the Empire State Building.
Yes.
what?
Yeah. Paul, the lighting cameraman, we were up on the back lot. We've got a huge model of Manhattan, the waterfronts, you know, with all the bridges and things. And there's a model of the Empire State Building. Paul Wilson, yeah, lighting cameraman, very nice chap. He said, Jeff, he said, no, it's not your job. He said, but you see the windows in that office there? It looks like a digital LED clock. You can whip up there and take a few bulbs out. I said, yeah, go on then. So inside, I got inside. It's 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, very cold. And I climbed up on the bits of wood. Fortunately, I had an anorak on, you know, puffer jacket, you know. And I took the bulb out, all right, but I took every other bulb out because the piece of wood that I was standing on gave way, and I went all the way down. And Paul said, well, shoot something else then, shall we? I broke all the bloody bulbs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Oh wow.
But that was very good. That was very good shooting. That it's the waterfront. You're looking across the water because he flies across. You know, it's a perspective shot. It's very cleverly done. The model is a long way away, and he's here flying towards it. Full size man.
Yeah.
You know. And they wanted traffic going along the embankment, I suppose. And we came up with the idea of using black tape with 3M reflective material and a spotlight on the camera and a little electric motor like a cotton reel one end and a cotton reel. So we've got this piece of black tape with all these little lights on, and it looks like all the cars at rush hour going across. And on the bridge, we did it on the bridge as well. Different things. Yeah, I was on nights once, and it's a sequence when Christopher with Superman has the fight up on the top of the Eiffel Tower with the aerial. The aerial was sort of made of brass etched lattice work, soldered together, and they wanted to break it off. So they were fighting, and it gets broken. There's a bit hanging down. So next night I went in to shoot that, and I said, "Where's that aerial gone that I broke to look like a distressed aerial?" The daytime, the boys came in and mended it, you see. And it happened twice. And I had to ring up to Tad, please don't mend the aerial. It's supposed to be broken. Because, the day boys went in, the model makers, and they mend it, you see. I said, I don't want it mended. It's supposed to be broken.
He said, who keeps breaking this? We keep mending it.
Yeah, I know, yeah. No, Superman was great. I really enjoyed it, actually. I kept getting my rescinded. Yeah, when it's finished, the film's finished. I get another one on Mondays. They know we're carrying on for another month. This went on for 3 months. Never ending, never ending. Like a dear friend of mine, Polish chap called Tad. I used to call him Tadpole because he worked on Never Ending Story. I said, what are you on? He says, I'm still on it. It's never ending. Never ending.
The clue was in the title.
Yeah. It was a sweet film though, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, Tad was quite a character. He was into pyrotechnics, was Tad. He and his father in Poland used to make rockets. And they made one rocket one day, and it stuck in a thatched roof opposite this bloody rocket,
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. And then one day, his mother came home, and he and his dad had blown half the bloody kitchen wall away, Oh. He had his terrible practical joker was Tad. The tow hitch, the socket on the back of your car? Mm-hmm. He put explosives in it, little ones, so that as soon as you went out the studio, hit the brake, bang, there'd be a bang. Turn the indicator on, bang. He'd put several. Oh, it was
like caps, those caps that used to.
No, he made little.
Oh, like proper little.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he made proper little explosives. He nearly killed me one day in the workshop, and he'd made a little rocket, and it flew past me and stuck in the wall. I said, "You could have killed me." He says, "I know." Lovely chap. Yeah, and then on the Superman 2, I was on the flying unit. We just flew. Mm-hmm. We just flew in there. Did all the flying. Oh, yeah, the cape. When you're indoors, the cape, what we made was a little camshaft. Do you know what a camshaft is?
Yeah.
Well, then we had, under the cape, we had on his back, he had a little backpack with electric motor in, with this camshaft going around. And resting on the camshafts were fishing rod tips. Mm-hmm. Down his cape, so his cape would be going like that. It's not wind. Oh. It's a little motor going like that, making his cape flutter. They were odd camshafts. They weren't symmetrical, they were all different places. So they'd all go up and down differently, like the wind.
Mechanical.
Yeah, it's quite something that. Dear friend of mine, Brian Warner, he's gone now, bless him. We're up in what they call the Reds, mm-hmm. or the iron work up the top. And we're just about to do a scene with Christopher. And the director says, are we ready? And Brian would say, I'm just making good, sir. I'll be with you in a minute. He said, roll up, We're just making good, making safe, sir. We're making safe. And one day he says, hey, look, I've got this. He says, I've been down the props. And he's this tatty old bird, like a vulture.
Yeah.
So I said, "You're not." He said, "I am." You'd be given the sack today, wouldn't you? Anyway, Christopher's giving it all like this, go flying away there, you know. It's all going. And Brian lowered this thing, flapping tatty old bird. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Christopher comes along and sees it, he goes, "F*** off," he goes.
To the bird.
To the bird, yes. And they printed it. It's somewhere. It's, you know, I don't know if you'll ever see it, but, it's hysterical. Everybody's in hysterics.
Oh, well, I hope that shows up somehow.
Yeah.
In
I
some
don't
way.
know.
Some way.
It must be
Blooper.
somewhere. It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be on a blooper somewhere, won't it?
Yeah. Oh. Well, my kids have got a lot of things. They've got nice signed things from Christopher Reeve and things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was so lovely on one day, I think it was Superman 2, I think. I'm not quite sure. No, it's 2. Erica, my little daughter, she hadn't met him. She hadn't met Christopher. Anyway, we're up on the 007 stage, and I said, "My daughter's coming today, Christopher." He says, "I'm not on today." "Oh, what can we do?" I said, "We should come in." So he went and put the clobber on.
Just for her.
Yep.
That's lovely.
And he, the steps at the front of the 007 stage, he went down the steps and picked her up out of the car.
Oh, wow.
Because when she went back to school,
Yeah.
they wouldn't believe her, you see.
No.
No.
I met Superman.
Yeah, I met Super. Oh, yeah. I directed a few bits in this film. Morons from Outer Space with Mel Smith and Griff Jones.
Yeah?
Yeah. In fact, I'm in it. I play an alien taxi. Well, it's like a helicopter thing. And Mel's stuck on a little space station. I go and pick him up. And it's like a helicopter, it's like a heli baby thing, but a spacey looking one. And I have to say, what's sexy, by the way, he's sitting next to me, and I have to start rubbing his thigh, you see, like this. And he goes, "I'm male, I'm all male." And I go, "Oh, shit." And there's a Victorian porcelain handle. I pull it in this high-tech helicopter, and his seat goes, and he goes out through the floor. Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
So what were they like to work with? Was it good fun?
He was great. He was great. He was lovely. Yeah, we used to get into trouble because we come back from the pub late. Where you boys been? But yeah, that was with Mike Hodges. We had this huge spaceship, massive thing, and we're on the M25 before a section opened at Wisley, and we're driving this thing on the motorway. And Mike said, "It looked good, you know, if you could take that spaceship back up onto the roundabout and back down the other way. Because it's supposed to have crashed on the M1 at Luton. Because they come from the planet Blob, these chaps." He says, "All right, well, we'll take it up onto the thing." So when we came up off of the roundabout, there was a police car there. And we thought it was a film police car. We thought it was 99 cars, you see. "Oh, look, what are the boys doing there?" And they weren't. They were real policemen. And they stopped us. This huge, massive thing. I've got a picture of it somewhere, haven't I? Huge, massive thing, 80-foot long thing. Big lights on it and sparks and things, you know. And they said, "What the hell are you giving people heart attacks? You know, you're going to cause an accident." He said, "You can't keep coming up onto the A3. It's dangerous, you know. This is in the middle of the night. You're giving lorry drivers heart attacks." So I said, "Well, you better go and see the production office." I said, "Their office is in the double-decker bus on the hard shoulder down there." So they came back and said, "You can do it 2 more times." Yeah. Mike said, "I want Mel, when he's got the space helmet on, I want him to sneeze." I thought, bloody hell. So I thought, yeah, he said, "Can you work something out?" I said, "Yeah." So I made a little mortar that would be here. You shoot there and it would be here, you see. And I filled it with polycell and green jelly. Broke up some green jelly, you know, cube, and put that in and just fired that, and it went on the screen.
Splatter.
It's quite stupid, really. Oh dear. Yeah, he's now coming through the Earth's atmosphere in a like a ejector seat, and his bum's on fire now, and lands in a rhododendron bush, hissing away there. When you think of things we did, we had when they get captured and taken to a military camp, Dinsdale Landon, a lovely man, he's lovely, bless him, nice man. He falls in love with this girl from the planet Blob, and he's running behind this army lorry, and he's singing, "Sarah, I love you," or whatever it was like this. But at the same time, they wanted explosives going, small little explosives going off on the tailgate of this army lorry, you see. So we put all these little explosives, and Dinsdale is running behind the lorry with these explosives going off, and he's running all for real. Yeah.
Oh, good fun.
Yeah. Langella Dracula. Yes, it was lovely, actually. Yeah. It wasn't like this sort of thing, it was sort of. This is all Dracula.
This is all Dracula, yeah. So it's from when that one came out.
When that one came out, it squashed ours because the effects were good on this one, I have to admit.
That's the Coppola one.
Yeah.
So that's why I was on the South Bank show.
Oh, right.
I was talking about Dracula movies and stuff.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I didn't want to do it.
I'll tell you a lovely story with, there's a sequence when Laurence Olivier, he's the father of the, what's her name? I can't remember her name, the young girl.
Mina.
Yeah, Jan Francis. He's got to put a stake through her heart.
Yeah. Or was that, no, that would have been Lucy.
Lucy? Was it Lucy?
Yeah.
The young one, the visitor.
Yeah, that would have been Lucy.
It. Well, anyway, they opened up her coffin. She wasn't there. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And she'd gone down into the catacombs in the ground, and they went to find her. Now, what they wanted to do, Frank, John Badham, he said, "Jeff, I'd love to do it in one take." When he sees her reflection in the puddle, and he calls her. And he gets the stake and he shoves it through her heart. Now, he wanted to do that in one go, you see. So I thought, well, yeah, okay, we'll do that we have a telescopic wooden stake, where it's like a long walking pointed stick. And I'll make a little breastplate for her so that it won't hurt her, but it'll have a solenoid valve on it, which will open up a valve at the back. So it'll come out the back. So it'll come out the back. Well, I had to make a mould off the end of the stake. So I wanted to make a latex one. And I turned up a thing on the lathe, a little reservoir thing. So I stuffed all this stuff into it, like a condom, if you like, into a receptacle there, like that. So, and I had an airline on it, so that as soon as he went like that, I would open up the airline and this thing would shoot out of her back.
Oh, cool. But
of course, the thing was, he had to keep, I said, look, you've got to keep that at the right angle, sir, because that's going to come out at that angle. And if it's like that, it's going to look silly, He said, all right. Then he says, I've never done this sort of thing before. He said, well, it'll be all right, sir, don't worry. And he looks at me, and anyway, we come to, okay, well, let's turn over. Let's shoot the rehearsal. Can we say? Yeah, because it might not work next time. So we get ready there, and okay, action. And he goes, whoosh, like this. And of course, the trouble was, when that thing came out the other end with a bit of offal on it, it made a farting noise. So it went like this, you see. And he said, we'll do it again, because they all started giggling and fell apart. So we did it, and he says, do you know, I've never had to act like this, you idiot, he said. But Jan Francis, poor girl, she had this thing here and a thing on her back, but I also had down her back, gaffer taped into a groove of her bum, an airline and electrical wires as well. So I'm walking behind her with a battery and a gas bottle, air bottle. And he said, I've got to act with all this like this. This is crazy, you know. I said, no, come on, sir, it'll be all right. And of course, we're all giggling, and he starts giggling. And of course, once he started giggling, well, that was it. It took us ages. He says, come along, we must get this together. You've got to do it. I says, I know. He says, you're an idiot, he goes. I said, well, it's him. It's John Badham. He wanted to be in one shot, you see. But it did work. And when I went to, I go to the cinema and watch it with people. And it was amazing because I watched people. I went like that when the state went in. And people actually shot out of their seats because it was so real.
I'm going to have to watch it again now.
Yeah. It was so bloody real. Oh, but Jan Francis, after that episode with she had all these pipes and things, she says, you might as well stick a feather up my bottom and be done with it, you know. Oh, dear. But it was a good shot. I loved that shot. It really did. You know, I had to stand behind him and hold the stick so it's at the right angle. And it's, what are you doing? You know. But the shot in the evening, do you remember at the end of the film they're chasing that boat, trying to catch it to get to Nina, is it? Whatever. Mina, and him and what's her name? Her boyfriend, their solicitor.
Jonathan,
yes, that's right. I've forgotten all that. It's pretty nearly 50 years ago. He and I had to go out in a little, what they call a ship's pinnace. It's the ship's little boat, you know. And they dressed it up as though it got a boiler on it with a funnel. And they wanted black smoke coming out of it. So he and I, they didn't use the shot, I don't think. We popped off. This is October, down at Tintagel, just off Mevagissey. And it was getting late. It was October, and it was about 6 in the evening. It was getting a little bit choppy. And I said, I think we'd better go inside. They must have got the shot by now. He said, all right. We said, I've lost my bloody trilby hat. That's your bloody fault. And then he says, do you know, he says, I can see the headlines in the Times tomorrow. Olivier was lost and other. I said, thank you very much. Yeah, he's a lovely chap.
Yeah?
Yeah, lovely chap. Yeah, very nice. We got on very well together, yeah. We were filming in the graveyard, hanging over the cliffs at Tintagel. And there were some people talking on the beach. And they said, Jeff, stop talking. I said, I'm not talking. He goes, he's not talking. It's some people on the bloody beach, you idiots. You know, I got blamed for that. Yeah, but it wasn't my fault. It was people on the beach. But we just, you know, you either do or you don't with him. And we did. It was great. And we were staying at the Pier House Hotel at Charlestown. It was a sweet little hotel then, run by a couple. And we were in there having dinner. He was staying in the Gym Palace, a Carline Bay Hotel, glass fronts and all that sort of stuff. He said, Joe, it's bloody horrible up there. He says, have they got any rooms here? I said, I'll go and find out. You know, he came and stayed with us in the little hotel. No, he's great to be with. Yeah, really Brilliant. Nice. That scene there, that one, right? Okay.
Yep.
How we pulled him up, we fixed tackle on between two masts, right? And he was below deck, below what they call the lights, which are like a wooden little greenhouse roof type thing they are. And we've made a bolstwood and shore glass and stuff. And we've got to pull him up through that. And what we did, we made a sort of 2-to-1 thing. And myself and the rigger, we went halfway up the mast. And we jumped off onto the mattresses and it pulled him up the thing. But what we had to do, because we're just off Mevagissey, we're just off Charlestown, then we had to make sure that the mast, because the boat was rocking like that, right? So we had to time it so that when we jumped off, it was just coming up so that he'd go straight up the mast. Yeah. Because otherwise, like that, he'd have gone out there and it just swung about.
Gone overboard.
Yeah, gone over. So we had to do that. So, and poor old Eddie, I think he bumped his head a bit, but he was all right. Yeah, He survived. But he came crashing up. It did look good when he came crashing up, went right up the mast. You know, it looked fantastic, really, when he went up.
Wow.
It was very, very realistic because it was for real. We didn't have computers, you know. But and then we switched to Mevagissey Harbour, and they had to clear all the modern boats out of the inner harbour, and they dressed it all up with old boats and things. And I wanted a little boat, just a rowing boat or anything with an outboard. And because John Badham said, the director rather said, I wanted, and the cameraman, we wanted a layer of smoke, steam on the water, you know, early morning mist. Mm-hmm. So I thought we'll do it to a couple of smoke machines. We'll go around with a boat laying smoke. Well, I arrived there in the morning about 6:30, and I said, I said to the location chap, did you manage to get a little boat? I said, there's loads of little boats about. I said, I only need a little thing with an outboard. He said, oh, I didn't know about that. I said, well, I need it. Anyway, I spotted outside the harbour, there was a little motor fishing vessel, 1960s boat, quite a nice one, with an Avon dinghy on the back, with an outboard on it. So I legged it up there to them, and I said, I couldn't borrow your... He says, yeah, of course you can. I said, well, I only want it for about half an hour. He said, that's okay. Well, anyway, we got it down into the water, got the 2 smoke guns going, lit those, they're fine. And a friend of mine, Norman Bailey, yeah, I think his name, Norman Bailey, he was on the tiller, right? The little Suzuki outboard. And we're going around the harbour, delaying smoke, but I don't know what he did, Norman. He opened the accelerator. I fell backwards, and both wind machines, the nozzle bit, it's red hot, landed on the rubber dinghy. And the rubber dinghy went...
Oh no, oh my gosh.
Yep. But the trouble was that the Southwest Television were filming us filming. And my auntie, who lived in Newton Abbot, rang my mother in London and said, I've just seen Jeff make a right fool of himself on television. Because it just went... Pff. So... We,
did you sink then completely?
Yeah, it just folded and went. We managed to save the outboard from being damaged too much. And then we dragged it back onto the side, onto the quay side. And I thought, shit, I'm going to have to go. And so I legged it into St. Austell, got in the car, went to St. Austell, found a Chandler's and bought the... I went to production. I said, I need some money. She said, what? I said, I need about 600 quid. Quick. Because I've got to go and buy a rubber dinghy. And I found one exactly the same, Avon dinghy, exactly the same. And I took it back to him. He said, oh, I think you can borrow it any time. I said, well, that isn't the boat that you gave us. I just wrecked yours. That's a brand new one.
Oh, my gosh. Did it have the motor and everything then?
No, the motor was fine. Yeah, the motor was fine. But it was ridiculous. But it was on television. And everybody saw it. That was Dracula's home. They wanted to do a night shot.
St. Michael's Mount.
St. Michael's Mount.
St. Michael's Mount, yes.
Yes, St. Michael's Mount,
Okay.
of course. We were doing a storm sequence at night with a stagecoach. There's a little bit of a track round the back of the castle. Round the back. We had this stagecoach going along, and they wanted to have a storm sequence and leaves and all sort of crap falling on it. Mm-hmm. So someone had the bright idea that we sat on the skids of a helicopter, a little heli baby, and chucked sacks of leaves down. So we're doing this, and I just happened to look up, and leaves are going into the intake of the engine.
Ooh.
Oh, so I said, get down. We got down, you know. We said, I'm not doing that anymore, thank you. Plastic bags full of leaves and twigs and things, chucking them down. No, very dangerous.
Oh yeah, that.
Oh yeah, they wanted the rain sequence there. We actually, unfortunately, emptied their well with the fire pumps. Yeah. Yes.
Never mind, it rains a lot in Cornwall.
But we had, I tell you about with this wharf. I told you about the wharf, didn't I?
Oh no, you only told me in the shop.
Yeah, we had the
said
wharf
on here.
We had a wharf, and it was so tame.
That's a good story, actually. Yeah,
it didn't do what we wanted it to do, did it? The wharf.
But it says.
Yeah. So it kept coming out licking the camera. We're down on the beach, and it comes up the camera. You know.
So this is in
this wolf was
Dracula,
called,
79.
This wolf was called Lady. She was sweet, actually. And the local council, they said, we have to have a cage built by a blacksmith to keep it in. But actually spent most of the time in the bar at the side of the hotel by the fire. So I told you we had to have this Alsatian. So we talcumed it up. They talcumed it up with grey talc and things. And we made some ears, because Alsatians have got big ears. So you have to stick the ears down and make some little ears. And we had them on an elastic band. And there's a shot where it's running through the cemetery at night, with all the smoke and steam and atmosphere and everything. And it's running towards the camera with its ears hanging down here now. You know, it just slipped right round. Oh gosh, yeah, it's quite silly, that.
Oh, I wonder if you can see. Did they cut that out, or can you see?
Oh
that?
no, they cut that out. No, that was cut out. No, that was the scene just before Jan gets stabbed. Yeah.
So that probably set you off with the giggles.
Yeah, with the giggles, all that did. Yeah, a lot of giggles. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, there was a nasty accident actually. When Olivier looks in the window, in the mirror, and he can't see, because you can't see Dracula in the mirror. And Dracula throws a glass vase, like that big, Olivier, but we used to stand in. Harry was a stand-in. He was very much like Olivier. Harry was a lovely man. But I don't know how it got swapped. There's a sugar glass vase, picked up a real one, threw it at Harry. Harry ended up in hospital with concussion.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, stuntman. Double rather, not a stuntman. Poor old Harry, such a nice chap. He got clobbered with a bloody real vase.
Oh.
Oh, Donald Pleasance. He said, I wish they'd hurry up with this film. I want to get back to my garden, Yeah. Gosh, yeah, that was frightening. That was on Legend, wasn't it? Legend. There were horses in there. We had a lot of equipment in there, gas bottles and things. The first big fire when 007 stage went up, it was caused by, they were putting wax on the fir trees, looked like ice and snow, and they used melted wax.
Yeah.
Well, I think a big urn of melted wax went, because poof, went, a lot of equipment. They lost a lot of equipment on that. But the horses, the girls ran in and managed to get the horses out. They got all the horses out, because it was with the unicorn, they.
Oh God.
Yeah, Labyrinth and Legend. Yeah.
That
was with Tim Curry. Legend.
Was it
Tom Cruise? Yeah.
Yeah, Legend. Yeah.
You counted the
gas bottle. The big, large orange colour gas bottles.
Yeah.
Well, there were 8 of them in there, and we told the firemen that they were in the East of Woodland, and we counted them exploding, and the top where it's welded around the top would blow up through the roof. These 8 gas bottles. They lost a beautiful camera crane in there too, and some wind machines. We lost some wind machines because you see all the trees were polystyrene. Glassed over.
Yeah.
And they all went. It burned for ages. And you could hear the huge RSJs. It was like machine gun going off.
Yeah, oh God.
All these rivets. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh my
when it was burning with the heat.
Yeah.
You could hear all these rivets going. Tum, tum. It's just like a machine gun.
Oh, terrifying.
It was terrifying, yeah. We were there. It was lunchtime it happened. And we went up to watch it. And the fireman said, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, just too much.
He said, we can't do it, we're just going to let it burn out. And they got a contractors, shipbuilders actually, said that they could put it up in a month, a new one. And they did. But 6 weeks. And up went the new 007 station. They've had a fire in it since. Oh, that was Whoops-a-Copalypse.
Oh, right.
Whoops-a-Copalypse. Ever seen it? What's the name's in it from Young Ones? I liked him.
Rick Mel.
Oh yeah, he was lovely. Rick's. I'm dressed as an SAS man. I had to put dye all on my hair, and I've got a baseball cap on. And I get mauled by this lion, or tiger it is. And Jenny that did the prosthetics on my neck, because he claws my neck, you see, like this. And she's got this tiger's leg.
Yeah.
There's a shot of the tiger, then there's a tiger's leg, and she drags it through my neck. And Tom, the director, says, "That looks awfully real." I was saying, "It is real." It is real. There's this chap in the film who's he was a dragster racer, or Indianapolis or Daytona, one of those, and he's lost all his guts, and he lived in an iron lung with his head out. You ever seen an iron lung? Yeah. And he drives his iron lung around. You see, we put a Honda motorbike engine on this thing. We do wheelies, this bloody thing. They said, "Well, Jeff, I think you're going to have to drive it." So they dyed my hair black to look like this chap. I'm driving and I had to drive it in Blenheim Palace down a corridor with glass cabinets with all porcelain and glasses through the balsa wood doors at the end. Christ! But I was testing it. Our workshop was in Putney, near the embankment. I'm testing this on the road. And apparently, a lady went to the police station at Wandsworth. She was terrified. She saw this iron lung going along. So we were that night in the Duke's Head having a drink, and this inspector came in. He says, "You've been scaring the life out of people, going around on the embankment." After that, I went on to a film called Saturn 3 with Kirk Douglas and Farrah Fawcett Majors.
What was that about? It sounds familiar. Was it?
Yeah, it was
about
hydroponics, growing them in space.
Oh.
Do you ever see it?
I've got like vague sort of memories of the hydroponics in space, but I don't even know whether that's the same film.
Yeah,
that's another film.
It was quite involved, actually. We used to, a lot of the set actually went on to Star Wars afterwards, and we borrowed bits of theirs. At the same time, Star Wars 1 was being done. We were sharing bits and pieces, you know. Lou Grade, at one lunchtime, I was setting up some little explosives on a door, and he was saying, "Do you know, I think this is going to be a complete flop, Jeff." He said, "I think it's going to be shown on the aeroplanes next week." And of course it was, you know. But we had this robot called Hector. I helped build Hector. And Hector started taking over. Harvey Keitel was in it. Right.
Yeah, I don't think I have seen that one.
No, Harvey Keitel. No, it went down the pan.
Mm.
Yeah, but it was great to work on. Yeah. But Hector started taking over, killing Harvey, cut his head off, his wrist off. The only way we're going to get rid of Hector was for Kirk Douglas to strap a bomb to himself and push Hector into the space station's sewer.
Yeah.
And we took it in turns to do that, because I can remember Josh Williams, he and I, we had to go into the pit. It was full of water, cork, wallpaper paste to look like, you know, piece of cork to look like and we had to go in. We would had part of the costume on and had to thrash about, you know, with this robot dressed as Hector. It's quite fun, that. Yeah. But I was kept back on it for about a month, 6 weeks, to do all the model shots with the spaceships and things, which I quite enjoyed. I didn't make the models. The models were all pre-made. Beautiful. Actually, very good models, some of them. But I hung them on tungsten wire because I wanted the lights all to work and everything. And it was on mains wire. And I hung them on the wire that electricity came in. So I said, "No, please don't go near these, because it's mains coming into these, you see." So what did I do when I was that loud and touched it? But,
did you get a shock then?
Yeah, I did get a shock. Yeah, it was all right.
Did it knock you flying?
No, because I was standing on a ladder. I was standing on a wooden ladder.
Right.
So I didn't earth. You know, I just got a tingle. Yeah, I didn't get much of a shock, no. But no, it was lovely because all the spaceships just going, when they're doing their orbit, I had them on tiny, tiny thin wires. You couldn't see them, and they're going up and passing a different moon like that, you know. It looked really lovely, actually.
Wow. So your bit sounds great.
Yeah.
It's just obviously the plot then wasn't that great.
No, it wasn't, was it?
I think it was just a bit dated, really. It's like watching early Star Trek, if you like.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah,
And it
Blake
just-
7.
Yes. yes.
Blake 7? I did Blake 7.
Did you?
Yeah, a friend of mine, Peter Bahana, and I, we got the contract to make the bridge. You know, like Star Trek. Mm-hmm. We made the bridge. BBC, they strike the set each week and then rebuild it again. So they said we want it terribly light. It's got to be really light. You know, all the console and all the Zen. There was this thing, big screen called Zen, which you talk to, and it, you know, and we made all this stuff, shoved it up to the BBC, got it all set up and everything, and we went back home. We thought, we'll watch the first episode. We watched the first episode, and we're waiting for the phone to ring because it was all shaking, Yeah. So they said, so what can we do about it? I said, well, we just turn them upside down and we'll fill them with cement. You see, all the sets, all the consoles and things.
Yeah.
And we just turned them upside down, fill them with cement, put a bit of plywood on the bottom and drop them down again. I said, well, you're going to have to lift it, aren't you? You know. And it worked. But it was Blake 7, yeah. The music was good. If you look at the seats, Peter designed the seats and they wanted some sort of adjustable arms. So he thought, oh, that would do. So he used 2 angle poised lamps for the arms.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Blake 7.
Yeah, I can't even remember. What's it like? Did you have a hairdryer or something?
Yeah, something like that. I can't think.
For like laser guns.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. The big screen, what we did, they wanted it sort of organic. So we'd already got a lovely big mould. We thought we'll use a section of that mould in The Spy Who Loved Me. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember the big globe of the world. It's a beautiful globe, like a parchment. All made. Peter and I, we built this globe, but we had the mould. They wanted it slightly curved screen, big, I don't know, 8 by 10 or something, big screen. So we got resin. We laid a fiberglass mat down first, and then we got clear gel coat, and we covered it with cling film and didn't put much hardener in it, catalyst. And then we got rubber gloves and we squidged it all with all the colours and all the flicks and flake and stuff. Put all that in and metallics and things, and we squidged it all about. It looked wonderful, you know.
Sounds like a work of art.
It did look lovely, actually. It did look lovely. And what do? They use the reverse side.
Great.
Yeah. I thought, oh, bloody hell. Yeah.
I wonder what happened to it.
The screen, I don't know. Oh, we had to make it also a fire retardant resin for BBC. I did that thing called tripods. We had to, we made those big tall legs for the spaceship thing to land in a lake. One of the foots had to land in a lake because we had, just below the surface, we wanted to build a platform so you couldn't see it. So the ship would land onto that. Anyway, we had a small boat, so aluminium, like a little landing craft thing. So we took all the scaffold tube with us, only sort of 10-foot long length scaffold tube. Kevin, the rigger, jumped overboard and disappeared.
Just kept going.
He said it was about 4'6", the lake, deep. He says, not very deep. It was 22 foot deep. And Kevin had got a pair of waders on. Yeah. Because they filled up with water. And he just panicked. Had to get out of them. Again. Yeah. Yeah. There's another story I can't tell you, really, can I? About those 3 links of scaffold tube.
No.
Oh dear.
Not on camera.
Not in Pelican, no. Oh, they were great. Yeah. I did a goodies series with London Weekend.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. With Graham and Tim.
I bet you had a lot of fun doing that.
They had a horse with 6 legs. And the outside, a cow. They had a cow. And it had 6 legs. It's a crazy story. And they wanted it galloping along a field with two lady jockeys on, you see, and they wanted it to leap over a fence, a bush, a hedge. So John, the director, said, Jeff, in the evening, he said to me, tomorrow, he said, it would be nice if, you know, in those old pictures, painted of horses and hounds and things, the horses always have their legs out at the front and legs out at the back. He said, it'd be nice if you could do that. But the interior of the cow was a Lancaster bomber, right? This is goodies, remember? And so Tim was probably the pilot and Graham was probably and the rear gunner was Bill Oddie in the udder. You see, Bill was in the udder. Not when the horse is galloping along. It's just an internal shot. Another separate in the studio. But anyway, Bill said, be nice if you could do it the old-fashioned way, Jeff, with the legs out there and legs out there. I said, what about the middle ones? Because it's got 6 legs, you see. He says, well, just let them hang down. I said, well, I could pull them back. He said, well, that's all right. So we rigged up the crane and got these 2 stunt goers on it and got the crane boom moving across the field like that. And there's action, right, as it leapt, instead of the legs going out there, they went out like an aeroplane. And John said, you lucky bugger. Because it looked great. It looked like an aeroplane, you see. The legs went out. You know, so it really quite fun. It wasn't supposed to do that.
Oh.
No.
An accidental blessing.
Yeah. And then Arundel Castle. Tim and Graham get thrown off the ramparts at the top. And they land at the bottom. Well, we hadn't got any dummies or anything, proper dummies. So I thought, what the hell are we going to do here? I know what I'll do. So I drove into Brighton, because we're down at Arundel. And I went to a sex shop and bought some dummies, blow-up dummies, and dressed them up. And we threw those off. But on the Monday morning, we got there, they'd been stolen. So I had to go back to Brighton and buy another 6 dummies.
With a raised eyebrow from the shopkeeper, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah. Oh, gosh. I worked on a thing called the Muppet Caper. Jim Henson wanted us to get to know him before he made Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
And we worked on this Muppet Caper, it's called. Yeah, it's quite a fun film with Dinah Rigg.
Oh, wow.
John Cleese. I had to make some little bicycles for the Muppets, you know, these bicycles. And I made a Muppet for these 4 little rats. And there was in the rats in the Muppets. They're lovely little creatures. And I make all these bicycles and I managed to cobble them together so they all looked as though they were balancing. But there's one scene with Miss Piggy and Kermit. They're riding in Battersea Park and they're doing a figure of 8 together in the park on the driveway paths. And we did it with 2 cranes. I'm on one crane and another chap's on the crane. And when we passed them, we had, you know, the little crucifix thing you have for the Muppet, for puppets. So what we did when we did it, we changed. I would take his and he would take mine, this chap. And we had these Muppets riding bicycles. And at the end, the music was Didn't We Ride Side by Side? And we had all the Muppets, all on bicycles, all going off in the distance. And I had a trike. And I attached all these thin wires, tungsten wires and nylon wires, to all these bicycles, and I towed them all because they were pedaling because their feet were velcroed to the pedals to make them pedal. And we had a lot of trouble with dogs. And in the end, Jim said, people with dogs, you see.
What, chasing them?
Yeah. So in the end, he said, let's have the dogs in the film. So in the end, we had the dogs in the film, which was really lovely, quite sweet, actually. Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's a nice man. He was lovely.
He almost got arrested, didn't he?
Yeah.
What for?
Well, I'd made a hand wind machine with a little small petrol engine, just a hand wind machine. You could hold on hand, like a camera, like a steady camera.
Yeah.
It was like that. You could use it. You couldn't use sound because of the noise. And it had quite a bit of pull. That can actually pull. That's quite good, actually. So I had an old tradesman's bike we used to use. It's great on location. You know, with the basket at the front. You can put your stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I welded up a bracket and put this engine on the front. And I was using it in Battersea Park, mucking about with it. And Jim said, can I have a go? Jim Henson. He said, yeah. So Jim had got a cloak on. So off he goes and goes out onto the road over Chelsea Bridge with his bloody aeroplane propeller on the front of this bike. He gets pulled over by the police because he'd talk his way out of it. He says, he comes back, he says, I nearly got bloody arrested, he said.
Did they know who he was?
Yeah, they knew who he was, yeah. Yeah, they knew who he was. Well, they knew we were filming there, you see. But, you know, it's very sad, actually, some very strange people, because in the evening, people would come into the park dressed as Miss Piggy.
What?
Yeah. And then one actually, yeah, really weird.
What, after you were filming?
That had nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us, no.
Just coincidence?
Yeah, no, very strange, yeah. And Miss Piggy had quite a good radio-controlled head with lots of servos in it. We had it stolen one night. The head, yep. Quite big, actually.
By one of the Miss Piggies.
Yeah, I know.
Somewhere on film, there's Miss Piggy interviewing you, isn't she?
Oh, yeah, Frank Oz. Because Frank Oz he operated Miss Piggy. And I'm messing about with some little trolleys and things. And there's a tap on my shoulder. It's him. He said, I want to interview you engineer, you know. And they filmed me I wish I knew where it was, but I was filmed being interviewed by Miss Piggy. Bloody hysterical.
Oh, fantastic. Was she all flirty?
Yeah, it was lovely, actually. Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah. Great fun. Yeah. Peter Falk was nice. He was in that. Do you remember Columbo?
Columbo, yeah.
Yeah, he's lovely. There's lots of nice people in that film. Oh, Peter Ustinov was in it. He drove a dust cart. Yeah. He gets pulled out of it by Miss Piggy. She pulls him out onto the ground, you know. It's a bloody hysterical thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they wanted I went and found, they said, we want a little English car. It's got 4 doors. And we want to paint it yellow, like an American cab. So I said, well, Austin A35 would be the answer. They do 4 doors. So I found a 4-door one in Reading, sitting on the wide pavement. I went and knocked on the door. I said, do you want to sell it? He said, yeah. So I bought that. And we painted it up yellow. But the stunt driver, Colin Skeepin, he drove it most of the time around London. But the trouble was, we fixed the steering. You know how a London taxi used to be able to go turn around in its own space? Mm-hmm. So we fixed it so it was going to turn right after picking them up. So we fixed the steering so it would go that way. It wouldn't go much that way. So when we moved location around Grosvenor Square and places like that, we had to choose a route to go all right, because we couldn't go left. But after we'd done that shot, I think we're in Belgrave Square or somewhere, I drilled holes in the pavement. So that, because the puppets, like Gonzo and Fuzzy Bear and Kermit, had a rod on the bottom of their foot. So they stood up on the pavement, you see. And after we'd gone, we moved to Ladbroke Grove, I think, up there. We moved up there. But I said, well, I better fill those holes in because some girl might get a stiletto. It's quite big hole. So I got some round wooden dowel and I'm hammering them in like this into the pavement in Grosvenor Square. And next thing I saw a big pair of shoes, black shoes.
Uh-oh.
It's a policeman. What are you doing? And he wound me. He knew he knew about it. He didn't let me know though. He knew about it. He said, I want to know what you're doing. This looks very, very strange, you see. And he knew about it, but he didn't tell me. And he kept going on for about, what am I doing here? And, who am I and everything else. Then he started to smile. He said, I know what you're doing. You're filling up the holes, aren't you?
Did somebody put him up? Put him up
to it, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great fun. Great fun, that was. We're at Nebworth House. We did a lot of night shots there. And we're at a gateway, one of the big gateways. It's 4:00 in the bloody morning. we've got this A35. It's got to go into the back of the Muppet bus and hit it bonk like that. And we're all hanging about there. And some of us, Jim said, do you mind working a puppet or two? I said, no, I don't, a Muppet or two. I said, no, I don't mind. He said, you couldn't operate Beaker, could you? My professor's assistant, him, with steam coming out of his hair. Mm-hmm. So I said, yeah, no, it's okay, I'll do that. So I'm lying down there like this, and Diana Rigg's there, and she says, Jeff, does your mother know what you do? I said, well, I don't know, really. I'm not going to tell her. Anyway, we're standing there, and I said, I'm really cold. It's pretty frigid. She want to take a drink. So she lifted up her skirt. She's got a flask there. Yeah. So I had a warm glass of whiskey. Yeah. From her little flask.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Diana Rigg.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do you know does your mother know what you do? Oh, dear.
Brilliant. So.
That was nice. And then we went on to Dark Crystal, which I didn't really enjoy, actually. Mm. I don't know. It's
a long one.
We were building things, which I thought was wrong. We were building things too mechanically. It could have been done with the hands, because Jim said that's the best animated thing in the world, that. Yeah. And I was making a sort of it looked like a vine that hung down. And it grabbed people. And they wanted it. Somebody said, why don't you use little hydraulic rams and things? I didn't really need it. I could have done it with cables and things, And there were certain things I left. I left and I went on to the goodies. And I had to apologise to Jim. I said, Jim, I've been here a year now, and I've got an offer for a job. I hope you don't mind. So he said, can I come too? It was, yeah.
So how did you transition from that into doing the cars that you make?
Well, after I moved down to Dorset. I was still doing one or two commercials and things. I've always been into cars, because I've built quite a few cars, racing cars and things. I suppose... I know what it was. Yeah, John Coombs, Jaguar John Coombs, he was a racing driver as well. He actually sponsored a lot of cars. He's Sterling Moss, through Rob Walker, people like that. Sterling Moss drove cars, and I think Graham Hill did as well in the early days. I got someone to say, you wouldn't like to make a model of a friend of mine. He's got one of these Gym Palaces, these Hatteras yachts. So he said, Jeff, you couldn't knock up a model of this Gym Palace? I said, yeah. He said, I want to give it to John Coombs for his birthday. So I made a model of his Hatteras yacht. And I got a call from John. So he said, you would like to make a model of my D-type Le Mans Jaguar, which is that car there. That's it. That's the one. Yeah. He said, you would like to put a model of my D-type. He had the Belgian-equipped one, which was yellow. I said, yeah. While I was making it, right, I rang him. I said, John, do you know how we sell these, And he said, well, why not? Go and do it. So I took it up to Classic and Sports Car.
Oh, yeah.
First one, to Mick Walsh at Classic and Sports Car. And Mick said, I like that. And they featured it in the magazine. Mm-hmm. Not an advertisement. They had a guy's hand holding it like that. And it was on the front page of the magazine. Quite a while ago. And I had that, in that month, I had 70 orders, phone calls.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I had 70 phone calls. And it just took off. And then I got phone calls from people like Michael Cadora, that owns the Peninsula Hotels and General Electric. He's got a huge car collection in Hong Kong. I made several models for him, bespoke models, Yeah. Years ago, when the Jaguar came out in March 1954, just before it raced at Le Mans, I just saw it. It was a picture of it in the Daily Telegraph, and I thought, God, that's beautiful. It's like an aeroplane. Isn't that gorgeous, you see? So when I was at Thorpe's, at lunchtime, I decided to make a model of it. And I made it. And I went down to Goodwood one day and practice day on a Thursday. It's Tommy Cooper day, funny for a Thursday, wasn't it? Yeah. I thought, I'll take it with me. I'll take it with me. It wasn't as big as this. It was about the size of the 18th scale, about that size. And I went down. What was in the paddock was this one, OKV1, his Jaguar. Duncan Hamilton had bought it from the works. So it was about 9 months old then. That was 1955. Yeah, it'd be 55. And I put it on that bulge there like this take a photograph of myself. And he comes and says, who put that there? I said, I did, sir. He said, that's very nice. So he said, would you like to go for a little ride? So we went out the circuit and we went up the road towards Singleton and riding the D-Type. Yeah.
Lovely.
When it was 9 months old.
Wow.
You know, with Duncan Hamilton, who won them all in 1953, was it? Yeah. No, 53, wasn't it?
Oh, that was...
It was lovely. Oh. And we stayed in contact at Chauvet. I went to see him. When I started doing these production-wise, I thought it'd be nice to get one signed. So I went to see him one evening. He lived here at Magna. What's it called? Master Magna?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He lived there, and I went to see him. Getting on a bit then, bless him. It was about 6 months before he went. And I said, would you sign that? He says, yeah. And I said, can I come and see you on Sunday? He says, yeah, of course you can. He says, I'll tell you what, can you come at 2:00? He says, I've got some people for lunch and I'd like to get rid of them. You see? So I went at 2:00 and I was there till 1:30 in the morning talking about racing. So that's how I got into model cars. His son, Adrian's gone now, bless him, but he said, would you like to come to Dad's funeral? I said, oh yeah, I'd love to. Thank you very much. And it's quite funny, really. I met John Coombs again there. He said, what are you doing here? I said, I was invited. I said, Adrian invited me. Oh, did he? Oh, bloody riff-raff, he goes. You see? And I sat with Jackie Stewart, Sterling Moss, Tony Brooks, all the lads, all sitting there. But in the church, on the corner there, by the bridge there, the little church there, and the clergy, or whoever he was, the bishop, he was the Queen's padre, I think, something like that. And on the altar, they had two of my models. They had that and the winning C-Type at the funeral.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was quite nice. It was quite lovely being there, yeah. Bless him. When I was a schoolboy, yeah, I used to, on Lavant Corner, I used to go down on my bike, padlock it to the fence and sneak in under the fence on practice day. Yeah, a lot of us did. Yeah, one Thursday. Do you know what was lovely then in those days? I'd ride my push bike down through Fernhurst and then up the hill to Midhurst, to what they called Sanatorium Street. And going up the hill one day, pushing my bike, it's a very steep hill, pushing my bike one day, Prince Philip would come along in the Lagonda with the Queen and toot toot as he went by. No bloody great Range Rover convoy, you know, just going down to Goodwood.
Wow.
They probably were there somewhere, but you couldn't see it, you know, probably some small private car or something. But yeah, it's amazing.
Well, thank you so much, the amazing Jeff Luff, for just phenomenal stories.
Phenomenal.
Yep, thank you. I loved it. Your time and the stories. It's been amazing.
Yeah, there are all sorts of things, isn't there? Yeah. I even had Luke's helping me on the Muppets, didn't I?
Yeah, another time.